Ooh. Good morning, everyone. My 7 subscribers. Who knows? Maybe by the time it's uploaded, there'll be more people watching it. The years to come, when YouTube is just called the Motorcyclist channel. People look back and go, "How did he only ever have 7 subscribers?" And then they'll watch my DVDs, my videos, and go, "Ah, yeah, that's why, because he was rubbish, and he never uploaded anything." Anywho, good morning. I'm not going to apologise, because actually there's no point, because I'm just rubbish at getting videos up. So apologies imply that I might actually intend to do something about it, and I don't know. I intend to, but intent is not enough, is it? I am gonna blame our Audible for producing a fine range of really good audio books with a wide selection to choose from for every taste. Do feel free to sponsor my channel, Audible. Or not, seeing as I'm blaming you for me being rubbish. I've got into the habit of listening to audiobooks on my way to work. I stick some earphones in, which have the same noise cancelling properties as a set of those spongy earplugs, and then I stick an Audible book on, an Audible audiobook. Just enough volume for me to not have to strain to listen to it over the noises of what's going on around. It's been rather pleasant. I do like it. It's a habit I got into, and it kind of means that I'm not left miking up my helmet and talking bollocks. So yeah, I'm shirking all responsibility. It's completely Audible's fault. That's audible.co.uk or audible.com. I don't know, actually. Yeah. So this is part of my commute to work, and this is my favourite part of my commute to work at the moment. I think if I get a bigger bike, I'll probably go on the faster roads, but I prefer this road because it's tiny and twisty and awesome, and it's partly the reason that I managed to stick my job for so long, because it's such a good commute. There's loads of people come in from Edinburgh and other areas of it's a bit tight, a bit habitation. Rather, I go into that a bit quick. And they're always moaning on about, traffic was bad this morning, and so for me, if traffic's bad for me, it's because there's a farmer in a village on the way that I go to work moving his cows that morning, or there might be a school bus stopped to pick up some school kids. That's about it, really. I don't get what most people would refer to as bad traffic, but that is what I would consider to be bad traffic. Just thinking about that tight corner there, actually. I know that tight corner's there, and I'm a bit tired this morning, and I did go into it a little bit warm, I think, because a little bit warm. That's the 125 version of going into a corner too hot. Yeah, I don't think you can go into a corner too hot on a 125. You can only go into it a bit warmly. So actually, I think I went into it absolutely fine if it was dry, and I didn't go into it too fast for it being wet. That was demonstrated by the fact I went through it. I just went through it too fast for me to go through it without having to think. So I had to start thinking. And the think that I thunk was just that old thing of don't panic, just turn more. It's a bit of a weird conscious decision that you have to make, and it worked. Like, oh, don't panic about the corner. And that's something I learned from mountain biking and cycling and all that sort of stuff is, you know, you start bulging a corner up and you start looking at where you're going to come off. You start looking at where your curve is going to make you impact on the outside curb or whatever, or the bush or the trees or the rocks. And you panic and you get into this, I think it's called target focused, kind of like, and you can't get out of it. And so you just naturally follow through to the point of impact. Whereas, actually, what you need to do is train yourself, trick yourself into going, just turn more. Just turn more. It's a natural instinct to kind of lock up. And actually, all you need to do is just turn more. Relax, turn more. I was watching a vlog ages ago, and I can't remember who it was actually. I've not come across his stuff for ages. Can't remember his name. But he made a really good point, which is, no matter how, for the vast majority of riders, and especially people like me on a CVT, and when I've got a bike like this with like, I have now got really very reasonably good tyres on. I've got some nice Continentals. Which discussions about what tyres are best aside, you know, Continental, you can't argue, aren't a good brand of tyre. So whether you like Continentals or not, or whether you prefer Pirellis or whether you prefer Zellas, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, some people prefer different sorts of tyres, but there's certain names that occupy an area of the branding market, you know, that would be known as premium brands. And these premium brands produce good tyres. There's probably not a bad tyre amongst them. It just comes down to personal preference. So I now have good tyres on this bike as opposed to the pretty rubbish slick truck tyres that were on it when I got it. And to be fair, they weren't too bad, but they weren't as good. You can it's just like you get used to them. You kind of go, oh, they're all right. And then you put some nicer tyres on, and without going to town, you just imperceptibly pick up and you learn. You know, your body's learning as you go through corners. Yeah, oh, that felt a little bit more solid than it used to when I went at that angle or in these conditions. And so you pick up that you can push it a little bit further without actually having to explore and put effort into it. I suppose it's a bit like Baron von Grumble and his chums' explanation of when they jumped on the Suzuki, what's it, GS X 1000 S? That new thing that Suzuki are bringing out, that's kind of like a sports touring bike, but it's got upright handlebars like this. And they went without really doing anything. They went through a corner. The first corner they went through, they had their knee down, and it was just, you know, they didn't push and get to that point and go, oh no, we can get our knee down really easily. It was just the bike just went, gave them the feedback they needed, and they're obviously very experienced riders. So now I'm doing it again. I'm starting to talk about one thing, I start talking about something else, and now I'm talking about something completely different. So to bring it back to my original point, I've got better tyres on. I've learned that they're better tyres, and the point that the guy was making about turning was very simple, which was, no matter how hard, for most reasonable everyday motorbikers, as long as the conditions aren't terrible underfoot or under tyre, no matter how hard you think you're turning, you can probably turn an awful lot more. And the example he gave was, just look at this picture of professional motorcyclists on road going tyres, and you know they're way over. They've got their knees down, they've got their elbows down, and yes, it's dry conditions, and yes, the tyres are nice and hot, and yes, they've got very, very good sticky road going tyres on. But if they can do that, you know, you on your little Commute bike, if you're just leaning over by like 10 or 20 degrees and you start getting a corner wrong, just turn more and lean 30 or 35 degrees, and chances are you'll probably make it. And I suppose, actually, thinking about it, the worst case scenario, as long as it's in the UK, as long as it's a right hand bend, if you get it wrong, you're just going to low side and go into the bushes anyway. So what have you got to lose? Left hand bends with mud on the road terrify me, because if you low side through those, you're potentially going into oncoming traffic. I've got all serious, haven't I? I was just going to kind of waffle on about, look at my lovely commute into work in the morning. Isn't it lovely? And aren't I lucky? And the point that I was going to mention was, this is the road that made me decide to get a Duke 125 rather than a Honda CG 125. I suppose if I'd done a lot of research, I could have widened up that alternative to things like the MT 125. Although I think that was only just coming out as I bought this. Or if I'd waited a little bit longer, I might have ended up with an RC 125 just for the wind protection. And I've sat on one, and they're not too sporty feeling compared to this. Yeah, so this is my commute, or this is the best part of my commute. This is the part of my commute that made me go, I want a good bike that's going to be really nice in the corners. And bits like I've just done here, no way can I keep up with anything faster. But some of the really twisty stuff earlier on, there's not much can get away from me. Oh, this is the downside though. Mud. I am having to religiously rinse my bike every evening. Cool. Avoiding the mud. Oh, and a joke. I have a joke this time. I know what my joke's going to be, so it's not a problem. I'm not going to do my usual waffly waffle. So, joke. I have a joke. I knew my joke before I left, for once. So we're not going to have my usual, oh no, I don't have a joke. So here it is. So, there's a guy gets on a ferry and he's really hungry, and the ferry's going to France. And he's refusing to buy any food on the ferry because it's rubbish and overpriced. But he's absolutely famished. So anyhow, the ferry gets to France, and his anticipation levels are massive. He's like, oh, I'm really hungry, hurry up! And of course they take ages to dock. He's like, oh, hurry up, I'm hungry! They take ages to disembark? Yeah, disembark all the passengers and all the vehicles, and then obviously there's traffic because he's trying to get through the port area with all the other traffic that's just got off the ferry. And so he's driving around and goes, right, I want to get away from the port because it's just going to be still rubbishy stuff near the port. I want to get away from the port, and I'm going to find myself somewhere nice to get some food. And he's like, I see, it's a land of fine cuisine. It's got to be, I'm just like looking for like a French version of Greg's or just something like that, but like obviously not Greg's or Le Greg's. Something that sells good food. So he's driving along. He's driven for a couple of miles away from the port, and then he's going down a nice looking little high street, and he sees a patisserie. And he's like, oh, brilliant, a patisserie! They're going to like croissant, pain chocolat, and French baguettes, and oh, this is it. This is what I want. So he goes in, and he's got a bit of a sweet tooth, so he's not after like pies and stuff at this point. What's the French for pie? Anyway, and he goes in and he's having a look, and he's like, all these amazing pastries and breads, and he's like, oh, this is heaven, and the smells, and he's salivating. And then he sees this amazing looking cake, this big dark chocolatey looking cake with cherries on the top and bits of whipped cream and sort of exquisite flakes of curled chocolate, and he's like, oh my word, that looks amazing. So he's like, excuse me, and he's trying to remember his French from school. He's like, c'est combien de le gâteaux? And he points to this cake. How much for the gâteaux? And the bloke behind the counter looks at him blankly and goes, huh? And he goes, oh. And he's like, oh, they probably doesn't speak English. C'est combien le gâteaux? And the bloke goes, monsieur, you are English. Do not worry, I know we are arrogant French pig dogs, and we like to spit in your faces and pretend we do not speak English, but you know, you have made an attempt, so I will admit that actually my English is pretty good. How can I help you? Sorry, French people, for that damning portrayal of French people. Yeah. And I'm sure you're all lovely. And so he goes, what is it you are after, monsieur? And he goes, oh, brilliant. How much for the gâteaux? The gâteaux. Oh, I'm really hungry. I could do with a big slice of the gâteaux, please. And he goes, gâteaux? I'm not aware of anything we sell called gâteaux. Show me the cake. So the guy brings him over the counter and shows him the cake in question. And of course, and we all know what's going to happen here. The bloke in the shop, the bloke behind the counter goes, monsieur, no, this is France. Le français, zut alors. We do not pronounce it gâteaux. With the ox is French is so this cake is called gâteau. And the bloke goes, oh, yeah. Oh, you forgot that. Yeah, sorry. So, how much for the gâteau? Gâteau. How much for the gâteau? For that nice big slice of gâteau. And the patisserieist goes, monsieur, that is a fine gâteau. A gâteau is €20 a slice. And the bloke looks at him in amazement and goes, €20 a slice? Bollo to that. I love that joke. Anyway, right, it's going to traffic now, so I'm going to have to start thinking a bit more than usual. So I'll maybe speak to you soon. I don't know. Bye.